to the Literaturforum im Brecht-Haus. I'm very pleased to welcome Zaza Burchuladze this evening. In 2021, I think, he wrote his book Zoorama in Georgian. This year the book was translated into German by Sibylle Heinze and published at Tropenverlag, which is really wonderful because now we can read too this wild piece of experimental prose that is rightly praised in a review. With Zaza Burchuladze talks Toby Ashraf. Toby Ashraf is a journalist, curator and moderator known among other things for his work at the Berlin International Literature Festival, the Berlinale and the Goethe-Institut. A big thanks goes to the two students of the Hochschule für Schauspielkunst Ernst Busch, Markus Uecker und Elias Kohl, who will read the German text passage to us, as well as to the Tropenverlag for their cooperation and support. With this, I hand over to the podium. My name is Isabel Wanger, and please welcome our guests with a hearty applause.
Thank you so much, Isabel. You took all my work away, so everything is set already. I'm here with Zaza Burchuladze, and we talk about Zoorama or Zoorama. And yeah, don't think I have to introduce the readers who are coming. There are more people coming right now, but I have to thank the Tropenverlag. We are being filmed right now, right? Is that true? Because I can't see us here. So hi, everyone who's watching this either live or later at the live stream. Big thanks to the Tropenverlag, who is a publishing house that is associated to the Klett-Cotta Verlag publishing house. And Tom Müller wants to be here, but couldn't because he's sick like so many people. But thank you very much for making this possible. It's the first novel, actually, by Zaza that is published by the Klett-Cotta or the Tropenverlag. His other books that are translated into German were published by the Aufbau Verlag. Adibas, written in 2009, was published in 2015 or translated in 2015. Touristenfrühstück, written in 2015 and published in 2017. And Der aufblasbare Engel was written in 2011 and published in 2018. As in the German translation. Sibylle Heinze is responsible for the German translation of Zoorama. And you, Zaza, have a very moving history that is also part of your biography. You were born in Tbilisi under the Soviet regime. You started to study art and painting there at the Academy of Arts there. Started to write short stories and essays and poetry for magazines and newspapers, and also novels with such great names as Simpsons or Passive Attack or Instant Kafka. But then there was some sort of backlash that made you leave the country. It was your books and your publications were burned. You were officially on Georgian television attacked by its president and then physically attacked to leave to Berlin. This in itself is nothing I can just recite, but something that I need to talk with you about, because all your novels after this, of course, are set in a space of trauma and remembrance of Georgia, but also in a real place like Berlin. So is Zoorama. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the time. I asked you before, I have to tell the audience, if it's okay to ask you about this, about the reasons why you left Georgia, because all I know is religious fundamentalists were in the center of this attack. I know very little about Georgian history. What made you leave Georgia and come here to Berlin?
First of all, good evening. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. As we know, many friends of us are lying in bed now because they are ill, and hello them. Concerning your question, I can't make a long story short, but I will try. I was attacked a few times because of my writings, personally writing, and personally me, because I was always openly against of stupidity. I was never been against of church or some institutes, but against of stupidity. And Georgian church how to say, develops the ground for stupidity in Georgia, because they need just zombies to manipulate them easily. I was against of this situation, and it's hard to say about yourself, but I was a kind of target for them. I was attacked mentally, but later I was attacked physically a few times, and it happened as well. I don't like to talk about it, but also I was just no name put the gun on my head and said that you will be killed just right now if you don't say that you are sorry. So I didn't say that, but even he did not kill me. But he thought that he's more than just a person, as Boris Pasternak says, that a person with a gun is more than a person, and he was thinking that he's more than a person, but he didn't get what he wanted to. But anyways, it's quite strange feeling when someone puts a gun on your head and asks for doing something. And please pay attention that you are not afraid in that moment. The fear is coming later, but it's coming for sure. And these attacks were like waves, you know. You could not be relaxed, never. In my case, I mean. And I was a smoker in its time, and even in the evening or at night, I could not go for cigarettes outside in the dark. It was difficult, and when I was physically attacked and beaten, and I got a brain concussion in the center of Tbilisi, I just said to myself, "That's enough. Just leave for some time this land, this time and space." And but I was never going to live forever my homeland. But since then, already 10 years, I live in Berlin, and last time I'm saying that I was born in 1973 in Georgia, Tbilisi, and I was reborn in 2013 in Berlin, Germany. So sorry for this long answer, but that's my story.
Well, thank you very much for the long answer. If I'm allowed to ask you another question, you said stupidity, and that's sort of like a poetic way of evading a certain specific discussion. But I want to go back. Like, what was the point of criticism? What made your poetry make people put a gun on your head?
That's also a part of stupidity. When I was attacked, but before the beating, I asked these guys, "Have you ever read any of my books?" "We did not, and we won't. We will not, never." That's a part of the stupidity. They don't read, but they are told that you are an enemy, and you must be, at least beaten. But we know some cases that people were killed. Even journalists of opposite TV a couple of years ago was killed by these fundamentalists, and nothing happened. Government did not do anything. Before, there were 2 or 3 cases. If my memory serves me well, it was 3, but I know for sure about 2. Trans people were killed and burnt in the center of Tbilisi. How in the 21st century? How is it possible? I don't understand. But it's how to say, it comes also from this stupidity, and I can't be more clear with my answer, because it takes its roots in this global darkness we have in Georgian church at the moment. It's a kind of prolongation of Soviet era, I would say. Yeah, I know it's quite difficult for you to understand all this, but imagine that they are executors and they are ready to burn you in a fire like a witch.
It's not so difficult to understand, because I have friends who do projects in Georgia about sort of queer spaces, and I know about the queer situation of LGBTIQ activists there, and how, you know, conservative and backwards not only the government but also like other organizations are, or even just, you know, fundamentalists. So I understand that. What I don't understand is the reaction to your text that you know, even the president would attack you on global television, because I haven't read them, because I don't think they're translated. But, you know, I think I've been, you know, going around this question enough. If you don't want to say,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to like sort of move ahead to Berlin, but it seemed like you wanted to say something about this, no? About Berlin, because you say you were reborn in Berlin.
Yes, I'm saying that I found a kind of homeland here, but you will find your homeland anywhere after some time. Only thing, it happened first time after this Buchmesse, when I was coming back from Frankfurt, and the train was entering Berlin. I felt first time that, oh my God, I'm at home now. I'm relaxed. I've never had feeling like that before. But on the other hand, we were talking before our stage talk, that I was born in Soviet Union, and I'm kind of still living in Soviet Union because of our building. This building and me were born at the same time, 1973. It was.
So you live in East Berlin, to make it clear.
Yeah, I live this huge
Plattenbau.
high building, 20 levels, but. It's a huge. You cannot know all of your neighbors, and for me, for Georgian who knew not only my neighbors from my house, but also from the district where I lived, and Georgia, and especially Tbilisi, is quite a small city. Everybody knows everybody, and in this building where I live now, I know just a few person, and two of them are here. So that's really kind of strange feeling, because all the time you feel that you live in the middle of nowhere. And the smell never leaves you, because it's entering even your dreams. But, well...
You said that you came back, like this is actually not something that I planned to talk about, but now that you're bringing Georgia so much into it, you came back from the book fair, I think it was 2018, and the country, they always have these like focuses on countries, was Georgia, and they celebrated all the Georgian authors. And now thinking about this as we were talking, what was that like, fleeing from Georgia and then being an exile author who's also celebrated maybe, and I just heard a documentary, like a news report on the radio about it, how they started with like a great, traditional Georgian choir and everything. Like, wasn't that the most surreal experience for you?
To be there?
Yeah.
It was, but also, what was a strange thing? Is that in this hotel, and it was very hot, especially for Germany. 2018 was very hot October, abnormal. And it happened something with the heating in central heating in a whole hotel, and you couldn't breathe there. You could not open the window, and you could not breathe. It was so hot, and you were sweating, even having a shower. And you were feeling like you are in the center of hell, or kind of, and surrounded by people you have not seen for ages. And as I've said, Georgians, how to say, they are not. It's very quite difficult to with a tolerance, and some of them are openly show how they hate you, and it was quite difficult for me to be there with them. Well, we are actors as well, Georgians, and we can act that, how are you, and I miss you so much, but that's not true. But anyway, one guy, by the way, I like him, but he came to me and said, invited me to have a glass of wine with him. They were sitting outside of the hotel, because it was impossible to sit inside, and they were sitting outside having wine, and I was invited by them, and come with us, and let's just have a glass. And I said, no, so sorry, I'm not drinking. Come, you are not a gay. I didn't get what was the question. If you are gay, you cannot drink, or so. It was a part of the stupidity. What I'm trying to talk about, but I'm making these pauses because it's always difficult for me to explain clearly to the people. They don't know the whole situation. So I'm not gay, but I'm not drinking, and that's strange for some people. Is it understandable for you?
The connection between being gay and drinking, I don't know, but like it makes me want to drink right now. So. I understand. I think like there's a lot of metaphor in what you say, and
it's not a metaphor.
No, but like there is a code. I think there is a cultural code, and also in your storytelling. Yes. So like if you ask me, do I understand? Of course, I understand what you're talking about. And
yes.
And I like the beauty in the slowness also in which you tell these stories. And I think I opened up a lot of Fässer, as we say in German. And I'm very grateful for your answers. So it does make sense, and I hope it makes sense to the audience as well. You already talked. We already jumped into the book of Zoorama by talking about this Plattenbau. I tried to come up with a good translation of Plattenbau in English when I thought about this moderation. It's a skyscraper, sort of like social building with a lot of people living in it. You find it in post-Soviet countries, and you find it in East Berlin. It's some of those buildings that you find on the Fischerinsel, and Fischerinsel is one of those places that your book is set in. The book is told from the perspective of an author that has your name, that bears your name, that also has written novels that bear the names of your novels. There are certain characters in it. There's a child called Stella. There is a woman. Let me just look this up. Sorry, you can
Marika.
help. Yeah, exactly. You wrote it, so you can help me out with this, Marika. And there are certain specific places in Berlin. I was asking you about your rebirth in Berlin because I was kind of surprised because not only in this novel but also with Touristenfrühstück, you don't exactly paint like a paradisical picture of that city of Berlin. You know, in this novel, it's gloomy, it's winter. Your entire novel is very surreal with a lot of, well, let's say, nightmarish visions of animals. It's called Zoorama after all, with rats, you know, just, you know, having the size of dogs and, you know, rats or other animals eating children and so on and so forth. So let's just, you know, for those people who haven't read the novel, it's not exactly like a destiny that saves you from another existence of Georgia. So tell us a little bit about your lyrical or your poetic vision of Berlin and why it's filled with sort of like nightmarish visions, and at the same time you say it's the place of your rebirth.
Oh man, thank you for this question, but my answer cannot be so nice as your question, because I cannot put all my feelings just in a couple of words. But anyway, I would say that Berlin brings all the time these, how to say, surprises to me, because on the one hand, you always feel that you are nobody here. On the other hand, some strangers can support you very really deeply, and I was supported a few times. I was just surprised. Why? Just for nothing. But also I was surprised, well, perhaps I sound too childish, but anyway, I was surprised when I came out a week or so outside of our building, and I saw on a Leipziger Straße, it's a central place of Berlin. It's a Mitte in Mitte, you know, it's the center of the center. And you see, I made photos of this wall where is written that das ist nicht unser Krieg. Who wrote it? Why wasn't it deleted on the very next day?
Sorry, when was that? Just now?
Just
are we talking Ukraine, or what are we talking about?
10 days I'm seeing every morning this, it's from my window. And that's horrible, really horrible. How can we deal with this sentence or idea when people are dying, children are torturing and dying every minute somewhere nearby? And by whom? By humans? It's my question. Can you answer? By humans, or they are not humans? Because it will be my next question. If they are humans as well, perhaps this beast does exist in ourselves as well. Because they always can answer that they are following the order. As I hope you remember, or at least Zal remembers, Hannah Arendt's great book about Eichmann.
In Jerusalem.
Yeah, and Eichmann's answer was always, I was following the orders. I was following the orders. And he never felt guilty. Never. Only men. Only. Pay attention, please. Only man who felt guilty was Albert Speer, who spent 20 years in Spandau. And during these 20 years, he wrote 2 bestseller books. And I'm asking again, does this beast exist in us as well or not? Are we sterilized enough, or what's going on? How can we deal with this sentence? Das ist nicht unser Krieg. How can we write anything after Bucha, after Izium, after Kherson, the cities in Ukraine at the moment? And we know hundreds of cases. Children were tortured, killed, and gone. They are torturing them every second, every minute, every hour. How can we breathe? How can we eat? We've never met before, right? But just trust me, I've lost 12 kilos. 12. I can't normally eat. I can't deal with that. Sorry for my very long answer, but you are asking me about Berlin. It was written also next to this sentence on the surface of one hotel. We are surrounded by a lot of hotels because we live in the center of Berlin. It was written with really huge letters on the surface. Fuck Joe Biden. It's the same direction. Fuck Joe Biden and das ist nicht unser Krieg. It was deleted, but it was deleted by owners of the hotel. No one cares. No one cares about this sentence. And you know where does it exist, this sentence? Next to the building I'm mentioning in my book. It will be the house of 3. 3 religions together.
So okay, let's jump quickly back into the book and continue your thoughts. But there in your book there is the planning of a house of the 3 religions, yes, where Islam, Judaism, and Christianity come together, yes, and it's a common space for worship, and it really does exist, yes, right? And it's on the Fischer Insel, right? Yes, yeah. And
these people will come someday and ceremonially open, and will everybody be happy to be there, and we'll have some drinks and la. But it surprises me, as I said in the very beginning of my huge answer. Berlin surprises me all the time. Also, please forgive me and sorry for bringing so many examples, but it was a month ago or so. It was written almost in whole Berlin, one sentence in all languages. Perhaps not all, but in many languages, in different. Wir alle sind Mensch. Yeah, wir alle sind Mensch. We all are people.
Or human. Yeah.
No, people. It was written people.
Okay, so it's not Mensch or what? Okay, yeah, whatever. Sorry.
Because it was deleted, this Mensch, and it was written on it Scheiße. wir alle sind scheiße, and in Russian and in other languages as well, that we all are shit. But underline was like Russians are saying that we are shit. We all are shit. So, again, is it Putin shit or this whole nation is a shit? It's my question. How can we name all of them? We cannot. We are humans, right? But how can we separate them? Just explain me. I'm wondering, and I'm afraid of that I have no answer. It's a very, very difficult subject and very difficult and dark time for us, especially for the people in Ukraine at the moment. And we must be strong enough to give our best to them.
And show solidarity, but also I would say show solidarity with the suppressed people in Russia. I don't know what your take is on that, because I didn't grow up in a Soviet country, but like in other cultural contexts, I have discussions. This is not hasn't got anything to do with Zoorama, but like since we're here, to like not see the beast or not the monster, and like see that there are also like Russian artists that we maybe shouldn't boycott. Question maybe to discuss later. One thing I need to know: what do you think did this "this is not our war" kind of like thing mean before we go back to Zoorama?
Yes.
Like, what did it like? Because there is no clear, I don't know, authorship or even a slogan to me. Like it seems to have a very big impact on you politically and socially or emotionally. But like, this is not our war. What do you think? Who wrote this? For what reason?
Who wrote this?
Yes.
That's a question. I have no answer. Okay. I have no answer, but, well, it happened a few times with me in Berlin that some stops in U-Bahn, they don't have an elevator, in Berlin, or sometimes they don't work. And when I was with a baby and kindergarten, and I had to bring both outside, and it was really difficult for me to do that. Sometimes some people just, they don't see you. You as like you are transparent. But sometimes even old people are coming and asking, can I help you, or what can I do for you, and I cannot answer you who wrote this, or who is fine with this question or with this sentence. I was asked in Frankfurt, for example, what I'm thinking about President Zelensky. How can I answer what I'm thinking about President Zelensky? Well, my very short answer would be that he protects, not personally, but his charisma, or his aura, or he's not a president anymore. He's an idea. Zelensky protects, I would say, Europe at the moment, because Russia, Putin, Kremlin can easily attack each poor country everywhere. But when I was asked about what I'm thinking about President Zelensky, I said that I can't say that I love him, but I cannot imagine modern world without him. and we must do all our best to help Ukrainians personally or physically, even to protect them or to save them or to give our clothes or money, transfer, just do something for them. Otherwise, they will stay alone, and without Lend-Lease, how could we, I mean humans, how could we fight against Hitler?
It's very difficult for me as a moderator in these times, and especially with your background from a post-Soviet country, to bring the conversation back to your book.
Okay.
But we have to. In a
Yes,
certain
of course.
sense, it's just like,
But let me explain something,
when you
because
said Hitler, it's like, oh, let's talk about Zoorama again. Yeah.
about Hitler, right? Because I'm very, very deeply inside now in this war story, and sorry for that. But let me say something that Zoorama, it's a very German or international title, because in original Georgian title is a smell of the rose. It's not a Zoorama in Georgian, but I would say it's a bit better. Zoorama. I like it.
What's a Zoorama?
Pardon?
What's a Zoorama?
What?
What is it?
Well, Rama is a suffix which makes stronger the main word. So it's about zoo we are living in, and animals inside of us.
And your book is filled with animals, with most of them, I would say, imaginary, and most of them fantastic. And we have to come to Markus Uecker soon, who is one of the two great Ernst Busch students of acting, of the most prestigious, I would say, German acting school, who will read the first paragraph that has to do with an author who's also citing a novel that is your own novel, Touristen, Frühstück. But before we do that, going from the smells of the zoo and animals in Berlin, I wanted to talk a little bit about you writing this from a perspective of an author. How much is in your book? I'm going to be sharp now because we talked so much about other things, like how autobiographical or how autofictional is that, or do you even like the word autofictional? Because there is a Zaza in the book, but it's not really clear it's you, and you're trying to disguise it. There's a book within the book that you're reading, and how much of Zoorama is you, Zaza?
Okay, finally you are straight, and you need a straight answer. Okay.
Never been straight.
Okay. Well, it's a very simple answer that all characters are coming from authors, and all characters have a part of the author. Of course, this character in my book is named Zaza, and has a part of me, some percent. It's not fully me, but it seems so. On the other hand, it's quite a huge percent of characters I love from the world literature, especially I would say it's my personal how to say, my personal vision, and it's developed on a character named, and everybody knows him, Don Quixote. It's a very strange transformation of him, but if you pay attention deeply, it's not so different from the original character. I would say it's a version of one of the versions of Don Quixote, which became crazy. As we remember, he became mad after reading books, but this character named Zaza became mad after reading books, after watching movies, but especially he's mad with words, as you know, and especially he has to read this paragraph, especially words, and he is lost in words. I wanted to develop character, and especially the book, which represents words, not only to the readers but to the life, I would say, we are surrounded by, because most of them we don't know, we don't use them, but they exist, and I wanted to respect them. I wanted to resurrect them, and I wanted to give them a chance to, how to say, to breathe.
Zaza is not only obsessed with words. I'm trying to find the part where it's all about the wordplay, words that start with word. And I wonder what that's in Georgian. It's Wort halten, Wort brechen, Wort geben, das Wort abschneiden, Wortexperte, das Wort übersetzen, ein Wort anpassen, wieder Worte, Unwort, Wortstruktur, Wortkunst, Wortlexikon. It goes on like that. So that author is obsessed with words, but also with the word, and also with interpunctuation, and also with something that I forgot right now. What else is he obsessed with? He's obsessed with words. He's obsessed with interpunctuation and.
I honestly, I don't remember, but it's not important because you know, he is mad enough to be lost in words. That's main thing for me, and main subject for the book itself. So he is always he feels like a fish in words, like a fish in water, and he's dying without words. That's the main thing. It is his water, his oxygen, his living area. So let's give a chance our friend to read this paragraph about...
Sorry, Markus Uecker has been dying, I think, because we announced him 2 hours ago. Markus Uecker, please come and read the first paragraph. Give it up for Markus Uecker, student of the Ernst Busch Schauspielschule.
Lange Zeit war ich der Meinung, dass ein Buch alles legitimiert, solange es mich nicht unter die Erde bringt. Fast wie an jenem Abend, als ich im Literaturhaus das Touristenfrühstück vorstellte. Als die Lesung zu Ende und das Signieren erledigt war, standen wir paar Männer im Hof herum, wie sich das nach so einem Abend gehört, mit Zigarette in der Hand, obwohl kein einziger von uns Raucher war. Jedenfalls ich hatte vor geraumer Zeit aufgehört. Trotzdem hielt ich die brennende Zigarette in der Hand wie einen Bleistift. Ein großer, schlanker Mann kam hinzu. Er war hellhäutig, regelrecht kreidebleich. Er sah älter aus als ich, obwohl er wahrscheinlich in meinem Alter war. Vielleicht sogar ein bisschen jünger. Auf der Nase eine schwarze, rechteckige Plastikbrille. Er hatte sich das Touristenfrühstück unter den Arm geklemmt, als sei es die Eintrittskarte fürs Rumstehen mit den Rauchern. Ich erinnere mich nicht mehr, was einer der Raucher entgegnete, als er zu mir sagte: »Sie sind ja ein echter Buchzentrist.« Er meinte das als Kompliment, als würde er sagen, haben Sie aber schöne Schuhe an. Ich gab zurück, für mich legitimiert ein Buch alles. Die Raucher räusperten sich in die Faust als Zeichen der Zustimmung. Interessant, bemerkte der weiße Mann mit dem Touristenfrühstück unter dem Arm, rückte bemüht die Brille zurecht, obwohl es da gar nichts zurechtzurücken gab. Sie saß perfekt auf seiner Nase. Natürlich wandten sich plötzlich alle ihm zu. Dann müsste ein Buch auch das legitimieren, was nicht legitim ist. Zum Beispiel, fragte ich. Nennen Sie mir zum Beispiel das für Sie bedrückendste und dunkelste Buch. Nach welchem Prinzip? Ohne Prinzip. So als würden Sie blind eine Karte vom Stapel ziehen. Wahrscheinlich Erzählungen aus Colima, sagte ich. Ernsthaft? Absolut? Mögen Sie Walam Tichonowitsch? Ja, sehr. Wahrscheinlich sogar über alle Maßen. Es war ein warmer, angenehmer Herbstabend. Vögel zwitscherten in den belaubten Bäumen. Aus dem Café strömte der Duft von Kaffee und Gebäck. Der dämmerige Hof wurde von der fahlen Beleuchtung des Literaturhauses in gelbes Licht getaucht. Um den weißen Mann und nicht nur den zu beeindrucken, fuhr ich fort. Walam Tichonowitsch sei jener Mann, über den Andrej Tarkowski in seinen Memoiren schrieb, Dante wurde gefürchtet und verehrt. Er war in der Hölle gewesen, in der von ihm selbst erschaffenen. Schalamow hingegen in der echten. Und die echte stellte sich als furchteinflößender heraus. Das ist ein alter und erprobter Trick. Man wirft mit gewichtigen Namen um sich und steht nicht länger allein da, so als fiele ein wenig von deren Sternenstaub auch auf einen selbst herab. Die Raucher hüstelten anerkennend. Ich wollte noch sagen, ich könne mir vorstellen, wie der düstere Tarkowski sich für die Erzählungen begeistern würde, wo nichts, nicht mal eine schließende Klammer einen an ein Lächeln erinnert. So sei das. Doch der weiße Mann kam mir zuvor. Er sagte, sehr gut. Ihrer Meinung nach müssten die Erzählungen also Stalin legitimieren? Wie bitte? Fragte ich. Na, würde es Stalin nicht geben, gäbe es auch keinen Gulag und daher auch nicht Schalamows Erzählungen. Das ist doch billige Kasuistik, erwiderte ich. Dann gäbe es viele Dinge nicht. Eine ganze Reihe von Ereignissen. Das ist doch eine gewöhnliche Kausalität. Dem Inquisitor und der braunen Pest gingen ja die Inquisition und der Faschismus voran. Diesmal funktionierte der Trick nicht mehr. Er sagte, okay, lassen wir die Torquemadas und Hitler mal kurz beiseite. Die sollten wir ganz beiseite lassen, erwiderte ich. Ich wollte hier auf etwas anderes hinaus, nämlich ob Sie persönlich, wenn Sie könnten, Stalin aus der Geschichte streichen würden, jedoch unter der Bedingung, dass mit ihm auch Schalamows Erzählungen verschwinden würden. Ich brachte das Totschlagargument. Geschichte kann konjunktiv nicht ausstehen. Schon klar, meinte er. Ich spreche nur vom egoistischen Standpunkt des Lesers aus. Und das heißt, die Raucher spitzten plötzlich die Ohren und fragten, welcher Leser soll denn diese Art Standpunkt haben? Das heißt, stellen Sie sich eine Waage vor. In der einen Schale liegen Millionen Menschenleben, in der anderen die Erzählungen aus Colima. Was wiegt Ihrer Meinung nach schwerer? Aber antworten Sie nicht als soziales Wesen oder als Autorfigur Zaza. Antworten Sie vom Standpunkt des Lesers aus, der gemütlich auf dem Sofa herumliegt und ästhetisches Vergnügen an der Lektüre hat. Genauso wie Sie, wenn auch unwillkürlich und unwissentlich Stalin legitimieren, weil Sie sich an der Lektüre der Erzählungen aus Kolyma erfreuen, würde ja jemand den Fleischer legitimieren, indem er Frikadellen isst. Meinen Sie nicht? Das Gefühl, das nach der Lektüre der Erzählungen in einem aufkommt, ist sehr fern von Freude. Aber plötzlich merkte ich, wie der Mann mir zusetzte und mich erschauern ließ. Außerdem kann man sich an vielem erfreuen, sei es an Zahnschmerz oder einem Zeh mit abgeknabbertem Nagel. Was ich auch versuchte, um die ganze Unterhaltung ins Lächerliche zu ziehen, der weiße Mann gab sich nicht geschlagen. Er schaute mich an und durchbohrte mich mit seinen Augen, ermüdete und quetschte mich aus wie eine Zitrone. Die Anspannung ging auch allmählich auf die Raucher über. Anfangs dachte ich, das sei eine Diskussion um des Esels Schatten, nicht mal eine Diskussion, sondern eine Art Anekdote. Wann redeten seriöse Leute denn schon seriös? Vor allem bei einem Literaturabend. Und wieso mussten wir ernsthaft über all die Stalins und Gulags und Konjunktive sprechen, während im Hintergrund Vögel zwitscherten und das Gebäck duftete? Ich musste in mich hineinlächeln, aber nicht, weil mir die ganze Diskussion wenig überzeugend vorkam. Überzeugungskraft ist nicht immer auf der Seite der Rationalität. Doch es sah so aus, als habe der weiße Mann absolut nicht gescherzt. Der Gedanke, dass etwas Gefährlicheres und Bedrohlicheres auf dem trüben Grund seiner Fragen lag, als ob man oberflächlich sehen konnte, drang wie Gift in mich ein und breitete sich langsam aus. Meiner Meinung nach interessierte ihn nicht mal die ethische Seite der Sache. Er schien eher von Liebe zu sprechen, der Wollüstigen und Anstößigen, die jemanden, sich selbst und alle anderen vergessen, seine eigene Familie und sogar die Heimat verkaufen lässt, bis jeder und alles für ihn plötzlich verschwindet, außer der einen. Ein Blick genügt und man ist hin und weg. Am Ende verstand ich, welchen Leserstandpunkt er gemeint hatte. Den, von dem aus alle auf einer Ebene zu sein scheinen, Opfer und Unterdrücker. In der Zwischenzeit hatte er schon einige Male seine Brille zurechtgerückt und hat mir dabei unaufhörlich ins Gesicht geschaut, als wolle er dort ablesen, welchen Effekt seine Worte haben würden. Die Raucher waren aufgebracht, hielten nur noch die heruntergebrannten Kippen in der Hand. Er aber fügte am Ende hinzu, völlig ruhig und sicher: Nun, und jetzt sagen Sie mir, legitimiert ein Buch alles? Um ihn zu ärgern, hätte ich am liebsten geantwortet, das komme auf das Buch an. Aber ich biss mir rechtzeitig auf die Zunge. Vor mir stand ein Leser der besonderen Sorte. Neben ihm wirkten wir alle unecht. Pseudoraucher, Pseudoleser, Pseudo-Schriftsteller. Sogar der in den Bäumen singende Vogel klang Pseudo. Ich dachte, er würde mir das Touristenfrühstück vor die Füßen werfen, wie ein totes Küken. Tat er aber nicht. Im Gegenteil, er rückte es unter dem Arm ordentlich zurecht, als fürchte er, es würde ihm herunterfallen. Nicht, weil es ihn Geld gekostet hatte. Er war keiner, der ein Buch wirft. Und ich hatte noch nie so sehr gewollt, dass man mich mit einem Buch bewirft. Noch nie hatte ich mich so sehr für mein Geschriebenes geschämt. Mit einem Mal fühlte ich mich ihm gegenüber furchtbar schuldig. Ich wusste, dass das Touristenfrühstück die Erwartungen des Lesers nicht rechtfertigte. Ich sah vor mir, wie er beim Lesen über meine Hilflosigkeit gelächelt und wie sich sein säuerliches Lächeln langsam über sein kreideweißes Gesicht ausgebreitet hatte.
Vielen Dank, Markus Uecker. That was one of two parts that will be read, and what? What's your reaction?
Well, honestly, it sounds...
Take the mic.
Sorry. So, it sounds quite dark, sorry.
It sounds darker than the way you wrote it, or what do you mean?
Well, when you... If you have this experience, when you are writing, when you are in, it's like a drug trip. But now it was like a dark trip. It was quite heavy. So, yeah. When you are writing, you are like swimming. But when you are listening or when you are reading, it's quite different.
But let's talk about the translation. You've been living here for 10 years, you said, and but you didn't translate your own work. You still write in Georgian, and
Yes.
You're able to sort of give notes to the translator, don't you? Sorry, I'm.
Sibylla Heinze.
Yeah, exactly. Did you read your book in German and then give notes? Did you sort of?
No, I cannot, but that's very strange. I don't know this language. I love how it sounds, and I'm going to learn Deutsch. I'm going to do Deutsch courses. I'm starting a few times, but I was not strong enough. Sorry for that. And when I met first time, or when I first faced this sentence, quite how to say banal, that life is quite short or too short to learn Deutsch. But in the very beginning, I was like, oh my God, it's like I had to say so. But as time goes by, it comes closer and closer to me. And concerning your question, I don't understand the language, but well, sometimes I feel where is a mistake. So, and when I'm saying or writing about these parts I'm finding, not mostly that's strange, but I'm always right. There are mistakes, and I somehow intuitive or on a molecular level, but I found these mistakes working with Sibylla on Zoorama.
Let's talk a little bit before we hear the second paragraph. Let's talk a little bit about what we actually heard. You taking yourself as an author into it and being part of a Literaturbetrieb, because that was what the part was about. You represent, well, Zaza is presenting a book called Touristenfrühstück. And having arrived here and being an author here, like what was your experience when all of a sudden you were celebrated as a Georgian exile author in Berlin. What was that like? Did you ever feel that you were that, or did you ever have a new sort of self-esteem with that?
I didn't get you well, honestly.
You talk in this book about a Zaza who's actually in this
Yes.
in a Literaturforums, as we just heard, is presenting a book. Is presenting. Oh, we're getting a phone call. Is presenting a book called Touristenfrühstück. So it's you're describing a situation like the one now, more or less. So you this isn't your first novel that is translated into German, and that you know it's not the first time that you were like put on a podium as a Georgian writer in Berlin. So what was that second birth like? What was that second career like, being translated into German? Because as I said, it's your fourth book, and like, you know, that
I've
new
got
persona, you know.
I've got it. Well, hello, Marika.
That's Marika
Marika.
from the novel.
Yep.
Hi. Where's Stella?
She's sleeping.
So it's all autobiographical.
Well, how to say that's quite strange for me, because it's my fourth book already translated into German, and not all of them, but before three always had some. I was getting always some feedbacks, because they are, well, perhaps much funnier or lighter, easier, I would say. But I always wanted to not only write, but honestly create. Sorry for this strong word, but to create something extraordinary, you know. And I think I did it. At least it's not an ordinary book from my perspective, at least. But as I see, it's quite how to say. I don't know the right word how to explain, but people or modern reader is expecting something for fun, you know. Like we are now rounded by sagas, like series, and we want something like a lullaby to watch or to read, like a sedative, you know, to relax and to fall asleep. But if something, especially text, asks your brain for some work to make a job, you know, to make an active, to be an active, and we were talking about, or we mentioned tango before this talk, and I would say each book, I mean good books, they are written for this kind of tango, because tango is a partner dance.
But tango between who? You and the reader, or the book and the reader?
Of course. Because it's a dialogue. It can't be a monologue. But reader, because I'm a writer, and sorry for that, but I'm a reader as well, and I know how it works. As a reader, when I'm opening the book, I'm ready for the dialogue. I'm not asking just for sedatives. I'm not asking for the volume or diazepam to be relaxed and have a fun. No, I'm also ready to be harmed, to be even beaten or for tears as well. But as I see, this book is quite or strong enough for that. It's not like a sedative at all. As you mentioned, it's more like a dreamy, visionary, not surrealistic as well, and so on. So I can't answer your question differently. It would be my answer.
It's always very difficult to interrupt you because your answers are so great. But like, let's put a pin in the surrealistic aspect, because
Yes, please.
you also, like I forgot to mention, published under Gregor Samsa, right before this.
Yes.
The Kafka is in your short novels. Like it's very clear that this is the surrealists, or like even Naked Lunch, author of Naked Lunch is
Cronenberg?
No,
Naked Lunch, Burroughs.
yeah, William Burroughs, exactly. There are like fixed points, or like points of reference, I think, to your work. And also, I want to talk, because we're running out of time, that's why I'm talking so fast, want to talk about two things. One is animals, and one is the idea of transformations. I don't know if we can get this quickly on this stage.
Oh my God.
The idea of animals. The surrealist aspect of your novel is your obsession with certain animals who take on weird lives. One of them, as I mentioned before, are rats that take all sorts of shapes and forms, and that do exist at the canal, and that do exist in Berlin, but certainly not in the way that you describe them. And then these surrealist but nightmarish ideas.
Oh, come on! You must visit Fischerinsel in summertime, and you are around it.
Are the other rats really that big, and they eat children?
They are not eating children, but they will one day.
Okay, so part of it is documentary, part of it is Boros. Sorry for forgetting that name. Okay, let's jump right to the end, to the ape. You know, that's also or like I think there is a scarecrow that eats a baby's brain. You know, I open a door for you. Let's talk about. Come on, it's like pulling teeth with you here.
Well, I love animals. I really love, and I would say I respect them. Even animals inside of us, animals around us. But I hate. No, I love animals, of course, everywhere, but I hate a zoo. I hate the idea of a zoo and having them in cages, and they didn't deserve that at all. But when people are saying that lion is a king of animals, that's not true at all, because a human is a king of animals, and awful animal. But about animals in the book, I love, as I said, animals. I wrote a lot of articles about zoo in Tbilisi. It was horrible when I lived in Tbilisi. It was in the center, and it was like 1 meter. Just it was not a building. It was like a coffin for bears, you know, and they were standing inside just at night. It was horrible, and. I wrote a lot of articles about this zoo, and also I asked on a live TV during some stream, I don't remember, but about animals, that why Saakashvili does not bring his mother and children to a zoo and doesn't let them live there, because he loves them, right? But what can we do with these animals? Because they have rights as well, and they are loved by others. If you don't love them, I love them. So it was a long talk. German zoo and Berlin zoo, it looks much better, but the idea of zoo, it's horrible. And I wanted to develop much nicer time and space for them, like a book. So I brought them there, and you mentioned this ape in the end. She's an idea of eternal motherhood of human being and of the human. This female gorilla, it's very big idea for me. When it came to me, I was like, oh my God, it's something about me. It's very, very strong. And I wanted to, how to say, it was my tribute to both to animals, and plus you mentioned Kafka as well. Kafka is kind like alter ego of me, and this scene when this ape is sitting in a chair, like invalid chair, it is taken from Kafka's America, this excerpt, but it was transformed in, especially for this book, in a different way. But I wanted to, how to say,
America is like the unfinished manuscript, like the last thing you wrote,
but
right?
all of them, all Kafka's texts are unfinished, all of them. Yes, you are right. America, which was saved by Max Brod, as some others, and it was my tribute to them. And even rats and even ravens there, they look much, how to say, much softer than humans in the book. What else can be said? I don't know, because I can talk a lot about animals, but people can be bored with my...
No. The only question is, the Georgian title is not Zoorama. Did you give the German book that title, or did the publishing house give the...
No, I also was thinking about giving in Georgia as well, but after discussing with Georgian publisher, we decided to go to The Smell of the Rose, because it could be, it could bring a lot of questions. What does it mean? Why the Zoorama? And reader, when reader enters, or potential reader enters the bookstore, the title from the cover has to work as a hook, but it won't. It's not good to develop so many questions. You know, it has to be like a hook, and that's it. But if the reader is asking and asking and asking and cannot find the answer, well, it will pass the book, and so that's why. But well, for the international reader or German reader, we decided to go to Zoorama because also the smell of the rose, it goes to Umberto Eco as well, the name of the rose, and we didn't want to do that. And that's why. Because there are a lot of writers, as you see in the book as well, and to have the writer.
It's also very far away from the name of the rose, let's be honest, right?
Of course, of course.
It's like the opposite of that. Before we hear Elias and Nuriel Kohl read the second paragraph that we chose, I want to talk about transformations a little bit. I mean, since you called yourself Zamza and, you know, made so many allusions to the many transformations of both Burroughs and Kafka, and, you know, talk about that in your book as well. What fascinates you so much about transformations? It starts as a family game between the author and his wife and their children, you know, who give themselves certain names in the beginning of the morning, I think, and then stick with these names. But then it goes on that there is a transformation into books. Why am I not, like, I woke up as a book, like everyone can become a book or turn into a book. That is one of the transformations that I found so interesting. But then it's also about gender transformations and, like, you know, the insecurity of being male or female, not in a sort of like queer activist context, but just like you invented a name, what is it, not Madame, Mandam or something like this. There's always this game of, like, you know, easily changing sexual or not sexual, but sex identities or gender identities. What fascinates you about that topic?
You are so prepared, my God.
I just read your book. I mean, I was paid for it.
Yeah. About the transformation, we are surrounded by, and we are finding even so many layers in our ourselves that it sometimes it's so difficult that you have a gender or you have a straight sexuality, you can be sure for that. Once I was asked, or journalist started asking his question in this way: Zaza, as a man, what you are thinking about? Who said that I'm a man? I asked first. May I answer as a woman? And but he was lost. Immediately he was lost because he did not get the point. Because when he's coming and he's seeing that you are wearing pants or you have a mustache like a Frank Zappa or kind of, he describes his idea or stereotype in his brain that you are a man. How can we be sure that someone is a man or a woman or trans? We cannot. Even we cannot be with ourselves as well, that we have some gender already and it won't be transform anymore. But I also would add something. We have the brilliant privilege when we are reading something or watching something, we can put ourselves in some character's shoes, and we can easily or hardly but imagine. It's not a sympathy or empathy just. It's just being someone else, and it's brilliant feeling. It's also brilliant feeling when you are looking for the children, for example, how many times they are changing and how many times are developing and trying to find themselves. and we are losing this childish condition in ourselves, and as time goes by, and that's very pity. So it was also my challenge to bring this game on the one hand, reality, modern reality on the other hand, and this being childish on the third hand, I would say. And all of these were put in this game, clownfish game in the book. When you are lost in yourself, it's a beautiful feeling, I think. When you can't say, when you are not sure who you are, when you are losing yourself, and this losing and finding, this being in between, for me it looks like you are getting a bit better, because we are humans. We are, hopefully, we are Homo sapiens. We are not just Homo sapiens anymore. I believe in evolution, and I believe that we are getting better and better. And I'm sure that one day it will be just vanished, our gender, and one day human will have just no gender anymore.
To build a little bridge, you also transform into another author in this book. If the author of that book is even you, or if the narrator of that book is you, there is a second part that is called Die Ausstellung der Wörter, or die Wörterausstellung, an exhibition of words. It is also discussed if that book within the book should have a different name. We're going to hear from this from Elias Nouril Kohl. What was the idea to put a book into a book? It's the author's friend's book, as much as I understand, and it has very, very long footnotes, and it has a different style than the other part of the book. And so what was the idea to put another text into your text?
Well, I just wanted to have underline and underline and underline to be, as I've said, I wanted to be lost in words, lost in storylines, and lost in poetry of prose. Did you understand?
It sounds like a great introduction. Should we leave it there?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay. Please welcome Elias Nouril Kohl for the second part in the second reading. Another actor from the Ernst Busch Schauspielschule.
And it won't be so long. So.
But please give him a warm hand.
Die Wörterausstellung. Alle Düfte ähneln einander. Jeder Gestank stinkt auf seine eigene Weise. Unser Block stinkt auf seine Weise wegen der Müllrutsche. Wie eine gigantische Schlagader windet sie sich abwärts durch das Haus. Der hiesige Gestank hat weder die Abstufungen von Farben noch die Konzepte von Wörtern. Wasser bezeichnet einfach flüssiges Wasser. Stehendes Wasser in großer Menge wird See genannt, fließendes Wasser in großer Menge Fluss, endloses Ozean und wenig Bach. Es gibt Wasser in verschiedenen Zuständen. Eis, Wasserfall, Regen, Tau, Hagel, Nebel, Welle, Schaum. Und das Gleiche gilt für die Zustände des Mülls, sowohl im übertragenen als auch im direkten Sinne. Der lokale Gestank stammt eher aus dem Bereich der Musik. Am meisten gleicht er einem nicht enden wollenden Crescendo, einer ewig aufsteigenden Tonleiter. Hier kann man keinen einzigen Geruch ausmachen. Der Gestank bei uns überdeckt alles und ersetzt alles. Nicht nur andere Gerüche, sondern auch Gegenstände, Ereignisse, Gedanken und Wörter. Kaum ausgesprochen weiß man nicht mehr, was sie bedeuten. Und dann, eines Tages, dann verschwinden die Wörter vollkommen. Crescendo, Tonleiter. Bedeuten diese Wörter etwas? Geht es hier nur um Wörter? In der Mitte jeder Etage, da befindet sich ein Abfallraum mit Schleuse, über die der Müll direkt in einem Bunker landet. Nur ist die primitive Konstruktion oft verstopft und der Müll kommt wieder hoch, als würde sich das Haus übergeben. Nichts kann den Gestank aus unseren Fluren vertreiben. Die hiesige Wandfarbe, eine unerwartete Wandfarbe, ein idyllisches Rosa, ist die Fortsetzung des Gestanks. Auch unsere Lungen und Träume sind von diesem Gestank durchsetzt. Selbst unser Atem riecht nach Verwesung. Und egal, ob wir von Rosen oder Zephyren träumen, sie stinken alle nach Aas. Es gibt Momente, da steigt der Gestank fast in die Kategorie der Ordalien, also der Gottesurteile auf und setzt die Tradition der Wasser- und Feuerprobe fort. Im Sommer jedoch, wenn die Hitze ihren Höhepunkt erreicht und sich die glühend heiße Luft nicht mehr bewegt, dann gleicht der Gestank in seiner Wirkung einem bakteriologischen und chemischen Angriff auf lebende Organismen. A. Er umschließt den Hals wie ein Hundehalsband. B. Er legt sich um die Schläfen wie ein Eisenreifen. C. Er beschwert die Lungen wie Salmiakgeist. Und D. Er betäubt wie die Liebe. Auch deswegen sind unsere Bewegungen schwerfällig und ungeschickt. Allein das Laufen kostet uns so viel Energie. Es ist wie im Traum, wenn man zu fliehen versucht und nicht vom Fleck kommt. Die hiesige Luft ist so voller Gestank, dass man sie mit Händen greifen kann. Man kann förmlich fühlen, wie sie den Körper einhüllt und ihn einengt wie in eine Zwangsjacke. Der Gestank, der bringt ein kleines Säugetier problemlos in einen anorganischen Zustand. Deswegen werden bei uns auch keine Haustiere gehalten, nicht mal Aquarienfische. Eltern lassen ihre Kinder nicht auf den Fluren spielen, seit sie anfingen zu verschwinden. Auch Handys sind bei uns mehr zum Passionsen liegen da als zum Telefonieren. Ja, von hier kann man nirgends anrufen und uns erreicht auch keiner. Der dichte Gestank, der lässt kein Funksignal durch. Die Hungerkünstler behaupten, dass man Gerüche wie Gedichte sich zu merken kann und so für immer auch in sich bewahren könne. Demzufolge ergibt der hiesige Gestank nicht nur ein Gedicht, sondern ein ganzes Poem oder gar ein Epos, das man nie vergisst. Jeder Atemzug ist ein kleines Wunder, als würden sich Bewusstsein und Körper voneinander abspalten und man fühlt, wie der Organismus staunt, dass ihm noch einmal gelungen ist, was er normalerweise automatisch tun müsste, solange er lebendig ist. Als würde die Uhr über jede Bewegung des Sekundenzeigers staunen. Aber auch der Gestank selbst, der vergisst einen nicht und erinnert einen stets daran, dass man selbst bald zu Abfall wird, dass auch man selbst vergänglich ist bis zur mikrobiellen Zersetzung der Proteine und Aminosäuren, so wie ein Gedicht, das einem unvermittelt einfällt, auch wenn man gerade ganz und gar nicht in poetischer Stimmung ist. Und dazu kommt noch der Mief, der durch die Schwankungen des Hauses aus den Kellern aufsteigt. Es schwankt in letzter Zeit häufig, und zwar so, dass das Fundament allmählich einsinkt. Wir senken uns sachte in die Erde. Vielleicht hat es ja früher schon geschwankt und wir haben es bloß nicht bemerkt. Vielleicht ist der Staub, der von der Decke fällt, uns die Augen füllt und die Nasenlöcher verklebt, gar nicht der Rede wert. Obwohl wir aufgrund dieses Staubs nicht mehr frei atmen und ordentlich sehen können, schneien der Staub und der Zement von der Decke herab wie schwarzer Schnee. Hier muss man stets aufpassen, dass man nicht in die Risse in den Mauern gerät, die durch die Schwankungen allmählich breiter werden und nicht aus Versehen in der Müllbrühe ausrutscht, die aus jeder Öffnung sickert, radioaktiv leuchtet und alles wie Säure zerfrisst. Deswegen tragen wir hier Gummistiefel. Das Ganze hat auch Vorteile. Das Leuchten der Müllbrühe hilft, sich trotz eingeschränkter Sicht im dichten Staub fortzubewegen, so wie einem Flugzeug das Lichtsignalsystem auf der Landebahn. Unsere Tage unterscheiden sich nicht groß von den Nächten. Hier herrscht immer derartiger Nebel, dass wir einander wegen der aus dem Müll strömenden Gase und des Staubs nicht richtig sehen können, sondern uns am Timbre der Stimme und charakteristischen phonetischen Eigenschaften erkennen. Und deshalb gibt es bei uns auch keine Überwachungskameras. Nur an den Fahrstühlen, Schaltschränken und in den brandgefährdeten Zonen, da befinden sich Wärmebildkameras. Es heißt, dass unser Haus schrumpft und wir deshalb im Boden versinken werden. Die Vibrationen, die beschleunigen das Ganze nur. Jedenfalls sinken wir jeden Tag um 1 Zentimeter, sagt die Statistik. 1 Zentimeter. Klingt nicht besonders viel, im Jahr verschwindet so allerdings eine ganze Etage unter der Erde. Eines Tages werden wir genauso spurlos verschwinden. Im Mai, Juni oder Juli, da verschlingen uns die Erdbebenwellen. Die Müllgase, die werden sich verziehen, die Lampen des Hauses verlöschen und auch unsere Namen werden für immer verlöschen. Unser Leib und Blut ist Staub und Moder. Wir haben keine Angst vor dem Tod. Wir wollen nur wissen, gibt es Leben vor dem Tod? Doch nicht mal eine erschöpfte Krähe wird sich zum Ausruhen auf diesem Haus niederlassen. Dieses Haus meiden sogar die Ratten. In diesem Haus leben wir. Wir haben uns an chronische Schlaflosigkeit und krankhafte Müdigkeit gewöhnt. Nachts schlafen wir fast gar nicht und tagsüber sind wir ständig müde. Wir erzählen euch unsere Träume. Sie sind unser Leib und Blut. Wir rennen nicht vor der Verantwortung davon. Wir haben gesehen, wie der Stahl gehärtet wurde und wie er rostete. Wir haben Herzinsuffizienz. Wir ringen nach Luft und unsere Beine schwellen an. Aus unserem Fett kann man Seife machen, aus den Nerven Stahlseile für den Fahrstuhl und aus den Radiergummis, aus den Köpfen Radiergummis. Wir stehen vor einem Dilemma. Wir bereuen nichts. Wir werfen niemandem etwas vor und wir haben vor nichts Angst. Wir haben das Interesse am Leben nicht verloren. Wir sehen mehr als nötig, obwohl es noch viel zu sehen gibt und Gott ist mit uns. Wir wollen wissen, wohin sind unsere Kinder verschwunden?
Vielen Dank, Elias Durier-Kohl. We've already surpassed the time. I don't want to ask anything anymore. Does the audience want to ask anything? Or should we just... Yeah. Do you want to ask anything?
Myself, right?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to, in the end, to be honest and say that I was trying to be joyful and be clownish to somehow attract you from the stage in this dark Berlin evening, especially when the book is dark itself. But let's say the truth. It can't be saved. Book is quite dark, and especially with the ending. This beautiful man finished his speech. Where our children gone? So, yeah, that's a question. Where are they gone? I'm asking myself, and I have no answer.
That's too dark for a closing statement. I'm sorry. I have to put something on it. Where have your kids gone? Your kid has made it to Berlin. Your kid is here, right?
Yes.
Stella is in bed, or the person Stella from the novel Zoorama is in bed. Are you really so pessimistic?
Yes, I am.
Can you ever imagine writing about something more optimistic? Can you imagine writing a novel of Berlin in summer?
You are much funnier
So
than
hard.
I am. Yeah, you are trying, and you. No, thank you. You are.
Hardest moderation so far, and I've done many. Yeah. go
Yeah,
on.
you want to beat me. I know. I feel it, but well, I would answer in a different way.
I was
Just-
fearing it. Okay,
just
thank you and
say-
good night. Cut the stream.
Just say something, right? Okay.
What brings you joy, Zaza? What brings you joy?
Okay. I just wanted to write a short article. New Year is coming, and everybody will say that Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Okay, and I just wanted to write something about I really love, and I love from since my childhood. And there is one song, not song, but one tune by Keith Jarrett. And I decided to write an article about this tune, which I fell in love with. I was 10. And we are just going through epochs together. And as each article, I just imagine that it will be page and a half. And now I'm on page 37. Because it's not an article anymore. It's I just fell into my past, like narrator Proust when he puts his Madeleine in a tea and goes back, and these feedbacks are coming and coming and coming, and Keith Jarrett is 77 now. He cannot perform anymore because he has 2 years ago 3 very strong strokes, and he's like a vegetable in his table, and his hands does not work anymore, and he said that he's dead. Sorry, I'm
Keep it light, keep it light.
and that's why I wanted to write something lighter, and still I'm working with the death, and still darkness exists inside of me. Sorry for that, but well, I'm pessimistic, and I tried my best not to be so, but I cannot jump out from my shoes.
Marika, what kind of films do you show to your kid? What kind of films do you show Stella? Like the Addams Family, or like films, or like, something to cheer your kid up, She doesn't have screen time. Very good parenting. Okay, let's talk about books. I'm gonna bring you the mic. Sorry for bringing you into this conversation.
Yeah, so today I was reading to her some fairy tales, and I realized they are just horrible. These old fairy tales, they're all about killing or
The Grimm brothers.
and she started to speak like this. I was killed, somebody was killed, and I ate a butterfly, something like this. Yeah. So I realized I should buy her some contemporary fairy tales, because these old ones are...
Don't go back to the Grimm brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're grimmer than you think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so So what kind of contemporary? Like we were trying to, I try to, since an hour, try to bring this to a joyful place. What kind of joyful book could you recommend for children or adults, or your husband?
Buddhism, maybe.
Buddhism. Okay, let's start with that. Buddhism or Disney? Maybe somewhere between, you know.
Yeah, Disney, not really. Disney, not really.
Not really. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Buddhism is cheering me up a lot.
That's great. If I may be so bold, I didn't ask you to come on stage, but what do you do?
What I do?
You also
I'm an artist, a painter.
a painter.
Yeah.
Great. Do you paint joyful paintings?
No. No, I don't paint the joyful paintings, but they're also not so dark. So.
Okay, very good. Do you exhibit soon? Because we're live now. You can promote anything you want.
Not really. Still, I'm taking all my time right now.
Okay. All right.
Still, but I hope soon I'll start working again.
Okay. I hope so
Yeah.
too. We hope so too. Marika, thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Last word to Mr. Joy.
We are well. She's quite. She's 3 years old just, and we are not talking about Russia, Ukrainian, or the Third World War. We are not talking about because she's too.
You're not talking about.
Not yet.
Okay, I thought
Not
you
yet.
just
But
said that.
suddenly, she asked me yesterday, "Will Russians come to kill me?"
What did you say?
I said, "No, they will not." Of course.
Okay. And that's a joyful note to end. Like, otherwise, this is like, you know, it's never ending. Thank you so much, Zaza Burchuladze, for first of all making this book. You can buy this book. It was written last year, this year, translated this year, published by Verlag Zoorama, and is the latest publication by you.
And I want to really say great thanks to my publisher who trusts me and trusts in this kind of text. It's a kind of special text, and they decided to print this book, and we are sitting here. We are discussing about darkness, but anyway, thank you guys that you are still here and you are listening to our mad dark stories. He tried his best, but okay.
Well, it might be the best talk ever, so you know, because you didn't make it easy. Thank you so much for watching, either now live or later. Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much, Elias and Markus, the Brecht-Haus and the Verlag on Klett-Cotta, and last but not least, thank you so much, Zaza Burchuladze, for making this novel and for being such a great talker too. Thank you. No, really, I mean it. Thank you.